TicTalk, 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 talk.
A real Celtic talk show by real Celtic fans from the Carluke Shamrock Supporters Club on HailHailMedia.
TicTalk, 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 talk, talk, talk.
Hail, hail, and welcome to TicTalk with the Carluke Shamrock Celtic Supporters Club. My name's Vincent, and this podcast being recorded on Wednesday, the 15th of January. You can find more information about the club at carlukeshamrock.com and details of the podcast and other Celtic family podcasts at HailHailMedia.com. The podcast tonight will be looking back at all the matches over the festive period against Partick, Inverness, St Johnstone, St Mirren, as well as the Antalya Cup, and we'll look forward to our next home match against Motherwell. We'll then round that off with some hot topics, news and our usual shambolic shenanigans. So tonight in our panel we have
Peter, when he finishes his biscuit.
Kevin, fourth biscuit.
Brian.
Kevin,
smashing. Who's want to update our listeners on what's on offer tonight? I'm just going to have a bit of this.
Gingerbread cake.
Gingerbread cake.
Turnings caramel.
ginger cake.
Oh.
Caramel wafers. And a big box of, I don't think they're chocolate biscuits, it's like chocolate flavoured biscuits because they're out of Kevin's shop.
No,
I met them in the old days.
Oh, I know it.
They're at the co-op.
Oh,
Good
they're out of
special,
Co-op.
my own, that one.
Look at Peter try to focus on them as if he can actually see them.
So they're no,
I'm looking at the back, says loved bug. What is that?
Loved by us.
Loved by us.
I can't vouch for his quality. It's a quid box.
that, well, I take that back, I know real chocolate, I know
just for
it Kev's shop.
$9.99.
Kevin, don't let him slag you, dude.
Well, at least you brought something.
It's a good effort. At
At least you brought something, Peter.
Surprised nobody's tried them yet.
I brought, I was going to buy something when I met Kevin. And he said, I'm getting something. I said, well, I'll no bother. I just walked out, didn't I? There we are.
I offered you half the money, but didn't I? And I know how Vincent's renowned for his generosity.
No, I had to push him at the queue.
I wouldn't take it, man.
Aye.
Okay, the first match we're going to talk about was Boxing Day. I don't know if you can remember as far back as Boxing Day.
Yes.
3 p.m. kick-off away to St Johnstone, and I'll give you the double verified team. It was Foster, Fisher, Ambrose, Van Dijk, Izagiri, and Matthews, Brown, Ledley, Samaras, Commons and Stokes. So it was India at the match, St Johnstone?
Yes.
You were real, Brian?
Yep, me and
I
Kevin.
was there, aye.
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 Good for 16 minutes.
We'll move on to the next one.
First 16 minutes was good.
Great goal, we were right behind the
A
net.
wonder goal, wasn't it?
Row A.
Uh-huh.
Some of the listeners might have seen the flag.
I saw the flag.
Right behind the goal where Big Virgil scored. We were actually closer to the goal than what the flag was, and we were standing right at the corner and he slotted it away. And it was like the Red Sea parting.
That's what happened.
When he
yeah.
ran up the pitch, you just seen it, you were kind of, release it, big man, play the ball, and then you just seen it open up in front of him. And
It was almost like a toe poke, wasn't it?
I think it
As
was.
if he just
He almost
got,
passed it. I was quite surprised.
he just got ahead of the defender coming in, and as soon as it left his toe, you just knew. The goalkeeper was already diving, but you knew for the angle we were that when he landed, it was going to just miss it. It was just, I mean, it was absolutely perfect. It sneaked in.
But I took a note about it
inside of the
because
post.
what actually happened with Commons and Stokes are really important because, as you say, the C party
made the
because
runs.
they made some really good runs.
Right.
And that early in the game, you're thinking, defenders are thinking, or no thinking actually, he's going to try and run the length of the park and score a goal.
Right.
So probably by the time they tried to track back and get him, it was too late.
Well, I've obviously not been doing a video analysis on him because every time he gets the ball, as far back as the Dundee United game, I remember him doing 2 or 3 of the amazing runs up the centre of the pitch and through, and there was one he just flicked it over and ended up going over the bar, and I think Andy Walker said a bit of a lack of composure there when he just ran 3/4 of the length of the pitch, beating 4 Dundee United players, playing a 1-2.
done more than Andy Walker's ever done in a Celtic jersey.
And I actually took a bad bounce and kind of hit his ankle, and Andy Walker, lack of composure there.
It's blooming murder. I know we're talking about the St Johnstone game, but I watched that. It was actually quite a good game at the weekend there, the Dundee United.
It was a good game.
Inverness, Dundee United.
Aye.
It was an alright game. And Andy Walker was terrible. The penalty. I don't know if you've seen it. It was an unnecessary challenge. That's why. So it was a penalty because it was an unnecessary challenge. Well,
That's not quite how penalties work.
Aye, that's not how it works. And no, it was debatable whether he was touched or not. He's just a terrible pundit. And I like him. I do like him. I've
Walker?
Aye.
He's quite intelligent, but it's almost
terrible pundit.
It's
It really
almost
is.
I've got to take on that charade of, you know,
Aye, I'm being
trying to be, you know,
being
50-50,
independent.
aye.
Aye.
And you know what I mean?
I'm being equal, but
Aye.
they end up going against you to show that they're equal.
Aye. Particularly ex.
How does that work?
Particularly ex-Celtic
I know
players.
it's only ex-Celtic who do
Proven
it.
and guys like that,
Derek
aye.
Johnson, them don't do it.
I don't think he's ever shaken off when he was in Radio Clyde doing the phone in bit where he says, "Oh, I go down if anybody touches me," and now he's always.
Aye,
always
he's got to justify that.
Aye, and he says it every time.
He
Well, he
says
was
it all the
touched
time.
there. He should have been down, and it's as if that's his thing now. Can he get away from it? Because if he says, "Oh, he went down easily there," people are criticising him for that. But you're the one that said. So I don't know. It's just it doesn't sit comfortable. with
Make
me,
the
I have to say.
referee make the
Make a
decision. That's
decision,
his words.
In actual fact, at the time, I know it is an aside, but at the time I remember thinking, well, at least you're honest, because I think most players would be of a same, a very similar mindset. You know what I mean? That's it maybe doesn't sit well with people thinking it's cheating, but in actual fact, some of the do similar stuff.
Some of the penalties recently, especially in English games now. Yeah. There's one at the weekend. Who was the game against? Was it Man United or something?
I didn't see that penalty, but what about
Liverpool.
Newcastle offside goal?
Offside goal.
You would be raging.
Oh, you would.
That was a doogie moment. I don't think I've got your story right after it either.
Aye.
I don't know, I've not heard anything.
But apparently, Pardew said that the referee gave it, no, the linesman's
Aye,
that
well,
right?
the linesman didn't put his flag up.
Yeah.
So was it Newcastle's goal that got this loud?
Aye.
I've
It was
not
a
seen
screamer.
it.
And do you know, I dislike Newcastle and I
hate
dislike
Pardew.
Pardew. But I felt sorry for the sadness. Some of the
But it's
fans.
because of that rule. That rule is bizarre as well. Do you know what I mean?
It is bizarre.
Because he's offside, and actually, you could argue, depending on what angle you're looking at it,
Can't argue that-
in actual fact it's interfering because he's almost. I know he's to the side of him, but he's almost in front of him. I don't know.
By the definition of the rule, he's never offside.
Anyway, let's get back to talking about Celtic here. Virgil's goal
Outstanding.
was the highlight of the match, and the second
No, but
highlight of the match was the
Flaggate.
Tell us about
Flaggate.
Flaggate.
What happened?
We before the game
And then
we
we
really,
left
we were really early. They did the whole frisk down and looked at the flag, and we got in and we put it a bit when you weren't going to see it. And we were just aware that the guy next to us had put one over the front of the hoarding, and you're not allowed to do that if there's an advertisement. But when I looked over and I seen that there wasn't any advertisement on it, right behind the goals, which I'm really surprised at. So I gave the steward a shout and says, "By the way, can we put a flag there?" And he says, "Aye, I heard him radioing up, and he says it's okay." And I obviously get the answer through the two-way radio that it was fine. So I said to him, "Can we put a flag there?" And he says, "Aye, I've checked and it's all good." So, well, good, but probably just after the goal.
It was just right after the goal.
A stewardess, a female steward came along and was looking for the people whose flag it was, and it was just along from us. We were second last seat for the passageway, and then it was our side of the passageway, so we just stayed stoom. She kind of went along. There was maybe by this time 3 or 4 of them, and no, none of the guys in the front row, any belonged to them, so she ended up just going away, and 2 or 3 minutes later, we thought that was ended. 2 or 3 minutes later, a police woman comes along with a steward, and she's like, "Are these anybody's flags?" And the guy's like, no. And she starts lifting them, starts disconnecting them, removing the tape and bundling them up and ready to take them away. And we're like, "Oh, that's it." Got back, so he went over and he was kind of doing a bit of demonstrating with her. He says, "Look, we radioed through." And she's like, "Oh, it's the steward." So we spoke to the steward. We says, "Look, we double checked, we radioed through. The control room are telling us." And he was making out as if it was the police control room. I'm like, "Well, she's just said it's the stewards, and you've just said it's the police control room. You got to make your mind up." So we got one of the eventually. So we hung it. They went away. We took our flag back. They took the other 3 away to whatever, and we ended up putting ours over the advertising hoarding, which was the Daily Retard, which we were quite happy at. And then as soon as we flicked it over, 2 stewards came over and said, "Oh, who's in charge here?" And he says, "Is it you or is it you?" And he said, one of them says, "It's me." I says, "Well, our flag was there. We had before the game, made sure it was okay, it's been told to remove. And I said, we want you to go and double check that. He's like, I will, but I'm not sure when I'll be able to come back. So to be fair to him, he said he would.
What are you going like?
Well, Brian's like to me, we're going to see him back
No,
again.
you're not here for
And
him.
to be fair to the guy, 5 minutes later,
Aye,
he
come
back
back.
and says, I've had the okay, you can put it back. So the flag. So there was a period, I don't know if you noticed during the game, but the flag.
We did know.
So a boy
I
came
never
down at
noticed
half time for the, I think it was the Barrowfield CSC, and they were one of the ones that was next to it, and he came down, he's like, where's the flag? And
he went mental, didn't
he?
he?
was going mental, so he was getting steered a real hard time. It was maybe a wee bit unfair, but it was quite right, and it had been taken away, removed without any...
No reason, no need.
No reason. And it hadn't been brought back again. So I says to him, I says, there's the steward there, we were able to point him out. And he's like, I got a text from my mate who's watching the game in the house to say, where's the flag away? That's the only reason he came down. His mate was watching. So somebody's watching in the house, they're like, text his mate in the game, where's the flag, by the way? Somebody's away with it. So there was a period that...
I noticed, because I watched it with Thomas, I can't remember who I was watching it with. I did say, did their flag disappear? I think they'd been told to take our flag away.
Aye, so we were quite vociferous about it, weren't we?
I gave the police woman a right hard time, and she ended up apologising. And I wasn't shouting, but I made my point forcibly.
How'd you do it?
That's what it does.
To be fair, he was saying that everything like
Told her it was an absolute disgrace.
What
We
you
had
do,
already checked out beforehand, and
just try to drive people away. Is that the way you treat people and stuff?
Exactly.
So assertive, we'll call it assertive, Brian.
It was assertive. That's a good word.
Okay, 3 points there at St Johnstone. We were happy with that. Next game up was Sunday the 29th, and it was Inverness away. 12:30 PM kick-off, and the double verified team there was Foster, Matthews, Ambrose, Van Dijk, Izagiri, Forrest, Brown, Ledley, Samaras, Commons and Stokes. Did anybody make
What was the score?
Inverness?
1-0.
Aye.
First few minutes.
I'm
wasn't it?
trying
And
to
that was it.
remember.
Goal by
Commons.
Chris Commons in 3 minutes.
That's right.
That was a
Great goal.
continuation of
It was
the
a great
crap-
finish.
crap second half against St John's.
I can't remember anything else happening after Collins scored.
Well, they had a few good chances after that, to be fair to them. I thought he played actually not bad, Inverness. We were
terrible.
Were we in the summer house?
I actually thought we were lucky to get a 3 point.
That's the best thing about that game was the
The half-time scran.
half-time scran and then
From Marshall.
a few beers later on. The excuse to get away.
So Dave, was at that game?
No, I was in Edinburgh for a couple of nights.
And
with
no
the
many
family.
folk can recall much of it.
Great goal with Collins.
It was a great goal, I remember
And he's
that.
playing well now.
Yes.
I had a wee note here to ask, and we can maybe come back to it as well later on, about is Commons his best signing, you think?
Wenny's.
Then
You'd argue Hooper or Wanyama as well.
You
couldn't
can
you?
argue.
Forster.
For the money you go for Wayama, you can't. You know.
And monetary value, Wanyama is the best because obviously we got the 12 million or whatever, but
Now, you make it more for
I know.
the
What's
goal.
the T cost? 300,000 Commons?
Aye.
300,000 or something?
I think he was free, was he not?
I don't think it was free.
Oh, it was.
I remember there was a chance he
I
had
think
to.
it was
He
300,000.
Going to the dark side of
I
one.
remember there was at one point they were talking, and he came in January, didn't he?
Aye, did I?
I did, because he
Turned the
scored
league,
that
he
scored
hand
the next month.
Aberdeen.
He scored against Rangers.
He actually turned the league that year, remember?
Scott Brown game when we
Aye.
down at the
He
Juice.
did. You wouldn't be far away with that.
Scottish Cup.
You reckon?
Aye,
That
you
was a
would
great
be.
game, 2 each, but
Just putting it out there, Peter. Just
No,
putting it
no,
out
you
there.
wouldn't be far away.
So I don't know if we want to dwell too much in the Inverness game.
Well,
I don't think there's much
there's
to
been a
dwell
number
on.
of games actually over the Christmas period. So the second half against St Johnstone was absolutely atrocious. The game against Inverness was absolutely atrocious. And I think probably Partick Thistle games the next game after that,
Just relax, son, relax.
which was atrocious.
Moving on anyway, isn't you? Come on,
So
hurry
we're
up.
moving on to the party this one. New Year's Day, 3 PM.
I didn't go.
Foster, Matthews, Ambrose, Van Dijk, Izagiri, Mulgrew back, Forrest, Brown, Ledley, Commons and Pookie. So, I looked to sell it for the telly.
46,000.
Well, I was
a
there.
crowd.
What was
I
it? What
was
was the
there,
crowd, Peter?
and I sat there frozen.
Well done, Peter.
And I have to say, I think I said to you last week, it was the worst game I think I've ever been in my life. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Celtic were shocking. There's no other word for it.
Thankfully, I couldn't get it online.
Can I just say it was a disgraceful day to have the game? There was no reason for it to be on New Year's Day. There was no public transport. It could have been played the next day. Celtic weren't playing the weekend until the...
But his Partick Thistle wouldn't agree to it.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
I don't care who didn't agree to it. It's an absolute disgrace.
Okay. Well, I had a much bigger challenge in my hand.
Why was it scheduled that day?
The World Jenga Championship.
Oh, get in there! Guess who won?
A New Year's Day get together,
Oh,
and I
dear.
felt pretty bad that my
dear.
mum did a kind of New Year's Day brunch, and going to the game would have been a wee bit unfair to her. So we then proceeded to the the whole World Jenga Championship. So I was actually far more exciting, I can guarantee you, than the Celtic Partick.
I can absolutely guarantee that.
I think if you were sitting watching paint dry, it would have been exciting.
But I'll also put up, when with the podcast, I'll put up the tallest tower I've ever seen in Jenga. I think it was somewhat 37 high.
I mean, that's impressive.
That is. I'll tell you, wait till you see this.
Quality. Can you beat that can you beat that when you've got a family on the edge and just looking for a reason to argue with one another?
Okay,
That's guaranteed to set it off.
goal from Ledley on 39 minutes. You see the goal, Kevin?
Did see it, it was a good finish.
Pretty good goal, wasn't it?
Can't take that away from him.
What's your thoughts on Ledley? Is Ledley going to hang about?
No, don't think so. I think he's off. I want him to stay, but I think he's away.
I think with signing that guy today, I think that's sending out a message, I think.
Johansson.
He's a left-handed side midfield player.
We're going to come on to transfer news just shortly.
You asked the question.
I just don't want you to steal my thunder. So.
I was asking if Ledley's leaving or staying. No transfer news.
If he leaves, it is.
Is it no?
Well, this is the sense of New Year's Day Jenga.
Yes, he's not been transferred, so that's transfer news.
All right.
Children,
Children, if that works.
you're very argumentative tonight. I'm
Just hurry up,
I
get on
an
with it.
extra wee bit of milk in your tea and you go
Have another
berserk.
biscuit.
You know,
Get on with it.
Really
No,
settled.
I've got
Too
a
much.
busy day tomorrow. Come on.
Would you be heartbroken if he did leave?
No,
No, I wouldn't. Yeah.
I wouldn't say heartbroken, but I would be disappointed.
he's not a bad player. He's not. He's missed an awful lot of games in his 2.5 seasons, whatever, 3 seasons here, through injury, and I think probably I would rather bring some fresh blood into the team than sign somebody on 20 grand a week, unless they're
I think he is.
contributing more than he is.
It does work hard, but it can be invisible in some games.
I wouldn't be heartbroken if he went, but what I would say is I'd rather see others leave before Joe Ledley.
Aye, I wouldn't disagree.
I would agree with that. We've got a lot of.
Deadwood, there's a lot
I
of
knew he
Deadwood.
was going to say that. A lot of players that aren't get a chance of playing in their first team, and they'll be good enough for a different level. And you would rather free up that money and keep you
So
guys.
who are we talking about?
Well, Kai Al's one for me. Certainty. He's one.
But if it's true that Ledley is one of your highest paid players, would you not think you would want more for a player like that than what we get for Ledley?
Is he
Despite
one
him
of the
being a
highest
good-
players?
If he is, I think he's certainly up there. I think.
yes.
Aye,
will
well,
be.
All for nothing on a pre-contract agreement, so
I mean, I don't know what his salary is, but I suspect he's probably one of the higher ones.
aye.
And if he is, I would.
It's not
I like him.
reflected
He's a
in
good
how
player.
he plays.
Aye, but I think you would.
But then
should-
Kyle's been mentioned as well, and I bet he must be up there as a
You think so?
reasonable
I don't
guy.
know.
Well, he signed a new deal, mind.
I don't know that.
At the Kilmarnock game,
I mean, you've a lot of debt.
when a lot of people were putting him above.
I don't like saying dead.
Wanyama
But
at the time.
At the
It was
time, I
before
think it's-
before Wanyama broke through.
I don't know that he would be up there with the highest paid.
No, I don't.
we won in the top half dozen.
well, that Singme's away, isn't he? Rodnick, he's off, isn't he?
I'd be right. I want to transfer him news
No,
now.
no.
sorry.
Who's away? Rogic?
I'm just asking.
Rogic?
Aye, on loan.
Aye, on loan to a Japanese club, J League.
Japanese.
Did that happen? Because it was going to
It's not
fall
happened yet.
through.
No, it's not happened yet. But
There was news of it falling through late last night. Anyway, I don't know if we're on transfer news or
Well,
not.
no,
I'm
no,
looking
no,
at
we
you for
can
some
skip-
guidance here,
We can
host.
skirt about it. We can skirt
Can
about it.
we go to transfer now?
No, not yet.
No, yeah.
Not all-
So we
not
need to
comes
repeat
that
ourselves.
agenda.
Right, okay.
Next back.
Still in the Partick Thistle game. Where are we?
Inverness.
Still in Van Dijk's goal. Still in Van Dijk's goal.
This is like one of Celtic's Christmas New Year performances. It's appalling.
That's why in New Year everybody's a bit rusty.
Shambolic it is.
It just offered it to everyone.
Okay, a better game to move on to and talk about would have been the St Mirren game on Sunday. That was Sunday the 5th of January, 12:45pm kick-off. Team was Foster, Matthews, Ambrose, Van Dijk, Izagiri, Forrest, Brown, Ledley, Mulgrew, Commons and Stokes. Nothing each at half-time. Pretty good game up to then. And what happened in the second half, Brian?
Celtic were outstanding in the second half.
They were.
Outstanding. Played great. I can't remember the order of the goals or who scored or...
Mulgrew, Stokes, 2 for Commons.
Who scored first? Commons?
Commons.
Aye, because there was some stat mentioned after Commons scored.
That was his 50th, and then he got his 51st.
But it was someone tweeted it. Out of Commons' 50 goals at that point, 26 of them had been Celtic's first goal in a game.
Is that right?
And it goes back to what we were saying. You mentioned earlier, is he one of Lennon's best? Is he Lennon's best signing? He's certainly up there as one of them. And he's playing really well now. I think we see the best of him in SPL because I think in Europe he's just that yard short of pace. He's got his body can't do what the brain's wanting it to do. No, his brain is ahead of the game, but he's just that yard short.
I don't know if it's that. I wonder
the
if it's
players
more,
round about him.
if he's asked to do something different in Europe, maybe even as well. Do you know what I mean?
Potentially, but there's he just doesn't get the time he gets at Celtic and SPL.
I don't think he was
I
fit.
disagree. I think it's the opposite. When you get into, sorry Peter, but I think when you get into Europe, you sometimes get more time than you do in the
Against Barcelona?
Faster
but they're
players,
nipping at your heels in
faster
the
players, fitter players, more athletic
Disagree.
players. The players in the Premier League are
Far more time in the ball.
Sorry
comparison.
Peter, I cut you off.
I don't think Commons was really fit. See, all the way through our European campaign, I don't think he was really fit. He was. Remember, he never really had a pre-season. He was struggling. He was.
I think he missed players round about him as well. So Scott Brown not playing, I think he misses that. Someone that does a lot of the running, and as you said, Vincent, he's maybe been asked to do a slightly different job in the European games. But I just don't think he's. I really like him. I think he'll be at Celtic the rest of his career. I'll be delighted if he stays at Celtic.
Well, his partner was talking about, I don't know if you heard, Desert Island Tim.
She was really, really
She
good.
was brilliant on it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I was listening to the boys.
Yeah.
I was listening to the homeboys and Jason and Harper were saying that she just sounds.
Well, we met her at wee Oscar quiz night, and I had met her. She was helping patron of that charity, and met her a few times, and she just absolutely loves Celtic.
That came across.
Loves being up here, loves the whole family, community.
Did you hear
more
did
than
you,
a club?
did you hear
I've not listened to that yet.
Because that just
that all comes-
radiates through.
Is she English? Aye, she's
They're both Nottingham. That really comes through.
She's great.
She just sounds like a scream bot. You know what I mean? She was a really good laugh.
What's your night? Hooper had donated his shirt that day from the Motherwell game. We played Motherwell at Fir Park, and they were auctioning it off. And she was 7 months pregnant at the time, and she's putting this Hooper's stinking top all over her beautiful dress, and it's all muck, and she's running about, shouting down the microphone, "Come on, get bidden!" And she was just, her energy's infectious, and she's fantastic, and a great ambassador for us as a group of fans and the players.
You could see how she would drive Chris Commons to distract him. That night she's like, so they're auctioning Hooper's top,
right.
and it was like £300 or something like that. And then she's like, "Come on, let's get higher than this. I'll chuck Chris's top in for the game this coming Saturday," and stuff like that. I think that's just when she just like anywhere she's going. Right, I'll get Commons to come and do your washing up and stuff like that.
That was the game we absolutely hammered Motherwell 2-0 at Fir Park. We destroyed them. It was a Saturday 3 o'clock game, first Saturday away game in so was it 7 years or something. Anyway, Chris Commons get man of the match that night, so he was coming back for the game and she was coming out, And he walked in, he had the bottle of champagne, and she said, thanks, I'll have that. And brought it back at auction that night as well. Come to sign it, that was it. Absolutely brilliant. She's great, and I think the fact that they love, Chris seems to love playing for Celtic. She loves living up there, the family are settled.
What I found interesting in the Desert Island Tim's programme was the fact that she was like desperate to stay, we love it, but still rent a property, still rent a house. So that she's like, we really, if we could sign a new contract, that would allow us to go out and buy our own place and put our permanent roots down. And I thought, that's a bit...
Because remember Neil Lennon, she mentioned this.
Be 3 years.
No, don't you? You would maybe say, I'll stay a year, because he's moved about clubs. We'll rent a year, see how it goes, and then he went through a wee...
She mentioned the fact that Neil Lennon had talked about perhaps he would maybe think about coaching and stuff.
Because he's a clever guy.
She said that would be fantastic. He'd love to do that. He'd love to think about that. And
I'm sure he's got a degree in economics or something. He is. No, he's a clever guy.
Just related to that, but that Desert Island Tim's programme is absolutely
brilliant.
It's fantastic.
I love it.
I was nearly greeting listening to George Galloway's one. Last year I was at a meeting down south, and it was like a 4.5 hour drive, and it was podcasts I had to catch up on, and Desert Island Tim's was one. I downloaded about 5 or 6 of them. Tommy Sheridan's, George Galloway's, CQN Paul Brennan's. There was a few others, and every one of them, it was like getting better and better. And I'm driving to this conference in the morning, and I was listening to George Galloway's. My fucking eyes were welling up.
His parents and stuff.
It was just outstanding. No hairs in the back of your neck. Just
brilliant.
brilliant.
About Lisa was, but our music was pretty good as well. I was impressed with that.
I do tend to catch up in them as in a big group, so I'll try and get them.
So that was quite interesting. And one, just as a slight aside, but related to Ledley, was the way she described how, certainly that she was talking about the Wags and stuff like that, but the ones that are all close, Matthews, Ledley, Stokes and Commons, and Hooper was part of that as well, that kind of group.
Well, they were all the girls that helped out with the wee Oscar. All of them.
So when she was talking about Ledley and Adam Matthews, that's the bromance at Celtic Park and stuff like that. Two of them are obviously come through Cardiff and stuff together. That was quite funny. It was good, really good.
Okay. So a really good. Did you catch that game then, Peter? The St Mirren game, some really good goals.
I thought it was second half outstanding. First half, nothing each. You're going, here we go again, you know.
But it was still quite a good game.
It was. They hit the bar. I think they hit the bar twice.
Colin had a great save, didn't he? Just before Colin scored.
That's what we were talking about. After you're it's not an each, but it could have easily been 3-0. But I thought St Mirren actually played alright the first half. I thought they played well. They didn't have a cutting edge, but they passed the ball around quite well. And I don't know what the possession stats were. No doubt you'll have them there, Vincent.
If we need to talk about
no doubt. Right. But the possession, no, it wasn't like 70% Celtic. It was closer to 50-50.
I feel a wee bit sorry for Danny Lennon at times with St Mirren because he gets hammered with the fans all the time. I think he passes about a bit. Any time you play him, I think they play no bad. The only time they never played well, remember the time we never played him up front at Parkhead one time, they get absolutely lambasted.
They beat 1-0, didn't they?
Aye.
I mean,
they got lambasted.
Tried to play.
My problem with Danny Lennon is he talks in the third person. So when he gets interviewed, he talks about himself, but he calls himself Danny Lennon. And if Danny Lennon's going to get this job, or if Danny Lennon's going to keep this job, then so be it. If Danny Lennon's going to get this sack, that just does my nutting.
Did you see that's
it. No, I didn't. I don't watch it.
God, man, you're a grumpy bastard. Honest to God.
Just the way it is.
That does me nothing. Too much milk does me nothing. The biscuits are terrible. They're out of a dodgy shop. Blah, blah, blah. God's sake.
First half we had 2 hitting the post. There was a cracking shot with Commons.
Chocolate flavour.
That was by the way. That was very unlucky.
Mulgrew hit the post. And then second half we had the 4 goals. Commons' second one, I think, was the pick for me. I thought it was a fantastic. That was the one he took.
That was good finish.
To Forrest, battered into the top corner.
Aye.
Getting behind him, he dragged it back a wee bit, didn't he?
He was unlucky with the one for the hat trick that just hit the defender, because that was going in
Aye,
for
right in the bottom corner for the corner.
That's what I was saying. The one he hit the post in the first half was a great effort.
Do you think Mr. Forrest is coming out of the game?
See,
Penalty was shocking, wasn't it?
I like
Mr.
James
Penalty.
Forrest, but I understand how people get frustrated with him. But I think he's like a lot of homegrown players that they get a much harder time than people coming in, and I've got to feel sorry for him that there's been lots of times when he's been playing and he's been very, very poor, but he's been patently not fit. And often that's down to the manager as much as the player. I mean, the player can say, I'm fit, but it's up to the manager to make the final decision. And there have been games where he's absolutely not contributed, and in actual fact he's been detrimental to the Celtic performance. But the manager's got to see that, and I think a fully fit James Forrest is a game changer for us. The challenge is he's not been fit enough.
I've got to say, he's the only guy in the team with genuine pace. He is the only guy in the team with genuine pace.
But he's got a bit of skill as well. He's scored some great goals for us, and so I really like him. I think we need to be. He's a young player. We need to be far more patient as a.
We're laughing with McGeady as well. I don't know if he's going to melt.
Of course we will.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
Every homegrown player forward that of any potential or decent player has got the exact same.
And you want
from
it
support.
In terms of McGeady obviously was a bit of a child prodigy, came into the team really, really young, and everybody said he was going to be the next Messi, and it's actually as if people believed that. So when he was playing well, but not, it's never going to be
James Forrest got Young Player of the Year, number one.
Aye. And it's like McGeady actually, because McGeady got Young Player of the Year as well, and it's just the parallels are actually very similar. And my worry is that he then just ends up drifting off and joining a team in the nether reaches of the Premiership just because he wants something different.
But again, the similarity between the two players is that they're creative players. So by the very nature they're trying stuff that's not always going to come up.
Exactly.
But
That's why
going
we
back
need to
to
be
your earlier
patient.
point, but going back to Kevin's earlier point, we do as a support cut foreign players more slack than homegrown. We just do.
Yeah.
But he's got the double whammy of being homegrown and being a creative player. And we've not got a lot of patience for it. And but it does go. The only thing I think's missing for his game is obviously a runny fitness, and his final ball could just be better. I think that's the bit that.
And he's needing to stop showing his bobby.
He needs to keep his bobby in his pants. Aye, I think so.
See, to be honest, but we say that, and I've said that he's getting a harder time than. But I think we just give all players hard times when they go through. We don't actually support them through difficult times, because I think of players that are foreign. So you've got Effiott, Ambrose, you've got Samaras. There's two perfect examples of players. So it's not actually, it's Celtic players that were actually, when they go through a lean patch, or Baldy's the same. Everybody's writing him off. Everybody's writing Pookie off. And you look at that from a support, but we're called supporters for a reason. We're meant to be supporting the players that are playing in our team. We've often prided ourselves as a support that we're different to other club supports. We're not that kind of start to criticise when things go wrong. We support through thick and thin, but in reality we are no different. We're as fickle as any support.
But just that's very interesting, actually, because on what are we basing that on? We're basing that on, primarily we're basing it on, well, some supporters, if they're listening, if they're listening to, no, I don't mean that, sorry, I mean who some of our supporters aren't supporting the team. And we're basing that on, or quite a lot of supporters are basing it on listening to Radio Clyde, reading the Daily Record hotline, when in actual fact, if sitting around this table, I don't know anybody here that's particularly hard on any players and pretty much gives them slack as much as possible. So
I think when we're discussing
you can hear
it here,
the booze,
I think you can be hard on players, but see when they're on that pitch wearing the jersey, that's when you support them, irrespective of what kind of game they're having. I've mentioned it on this podcast before. I was at a game where George Samaras come on as a sub and get booed. Booed onto the pitch. Absolute disgrace. I've never known it at Celtic Park. Absolute disgrace. Disgusting.
But it's easy to boo, that's what I mean. It's harder to actually
make a noise of support, if you like. Do you know what I mean? They're just booing. So
Aye.
dead easy to boo.
It is, it's a
And
minority.
you try to
that's
shout them
shouts.
down. Or, you know, I try and challenge them if I don't like it, and most of us do. But the easy bit is the booing bit. But I don't think that's the majority of fans. I think the majority
No,
of
I
fans
don't
are
think it
fair-minded.
is the majority, but you hear them.
Aye. I know.
It's-
Because they're booing.
Aye.
But it's not, and that's an extreme and a ridiculous extreme that the fans should be absolutely ashamed of, booing somebody onto the pitch. But it's not. It doesn't even go as much as booing. You hear the groan of discontent, and a groan of discontent is from the majority. To be honest, it's not. It was a minority who booed Samaras, but when he loses the ball, you can hear that.
I don't mind. I don't mind the grumble. I don't remember that. I don't mind that because
It's
you know,
a
if you're
reaction.
watching somebody, you're thinking, oh, and everybody does it. That's okay. That's different from booing. But I think.
But see, after that, because everybody does have that reaction,
But then you go, oh,
right, come on, aye,
And
that
that's-
encouragement.
And nobody does come on. There are very few.
Well, I think we've actually talked about this before. I think about a year and a half ago we talked about this, about a year ago, how long this would be going, about the atmosphere at Parkhead.
It's terrible.
But I think the performances at Parkhead, Brian, don't help. We do not perform at Parkhead. Our best, where's our best performances this season? Where have
Three
they
away
been?
games, 3 of
You
the
know what I
last 5 away games.
When was the last good home performance? You can think of. I can't think of one. I'll be honest, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
It's probably been a while, eh?
You know? And you can't even say the European games were that great at home. Ajax, 1-2-1. You'd probably say that, but you know,
Yeah, there is a problem, and it's
definitely a problem playing at Parkhead.
It's playing slow, methodical, keep the ball football rather than what we've always kind of regarded Celtic as being as fast, getting the ball moving quickly, playing the way we did at Tynecastle, where it was touch.
I would agree to an extent, but teams come
And sitting.
sit
And
10
really
men-
sitting.
10 men behind the ball. The game at Tynecastle, Hearts didn't get the result.
Okay,
Right.
so I'm prepared to accept that, which is why we need someone who's got a bit of guile and craft to be able to unlock those defences. Now, we spoke about before, and this isn't necessarily
Which is fair enough, but that's not. And I wouldn't disagree with that at all. But we're talking about this the lack of support or the lack of atmosphere at Celtic Park.
But I think that comes up. The players have got to entertain the fans. We've not got to entertain the players, if you know what I'm trying to say. That's why we pay in to get entertained at the end of the day and for our team to win.
I think it's a reciprocal thing.
But they've not been entertaining us.
Yeah, but there's obviously lots of other challenges around about Celtic Park and the people who are now attending Celtic Park, the people who are not attending Celtic Park, that needs to be reconciled. But first and foremost, the players need to go out and perform better than they're performing. They're performing much below the level that we expect, and to be honest, that they should be expecting with the quality they've got. And in my mind, we just play retention football. We'll wait, a gap will open up, we'll gap.
Do you think the lack of atmosphere is due to lack of competition?
Is it
Knowing
because
that
there's
we're
no
going to win the
Rangers?
league?
Is it because there's no Sevco?
No, that's not what I said. Is it because there's a lack of competition?
I'll tell you-
Doesn't
I'll tell you-
necessarily- So if Aberdeen...
Tynecastle and we've
I'll
won.
tell you what
No.
disappointed me is I got my ticket in for Aberdeen the other day there. It's a lower tier.
They've shut the top up.
Aye, top tier's not on.
Shut up.
I mean, this is a big game. They're saying top of the league. They're going great. Where's the support? What's happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I
How
actually-
many's going to bet that game?
Well, if the top tier's closed, it's 40 max, I think.
But the full top tier.
Aye.
So right round the ground.
Aye. And I understand from the way I read it on the Celtic website when they said tickets were into Celtic season ticket holder and they're first come, first served, it was almost as if they sell that out, we'll not be opening the top tier.
Aye.
I.e. no intention.
Well, I can
so
assure you, Aberdeen will sell out their full section. They will. They'll sell out.
They've gone well, isn't it?
They'll pull about 4,000 down there for that game. Telling you. Aberdeen.
well, to be honest, that might be the best atmosphere of the
It
season.
will be. It'll be a great game. I think it'll be a good game. I really do. I think it'll be a really good game.
I've got to be honest, but I'd prefer if they could do that they would do that in terms of trying to get at least
Aye,
the
everybody
bottom
the
tier.
Gallagher.
Because see, when it's all sparsely populated,
It's a nightmare.
It's not good. And I guess that certainly with the Green Brigade not being there either, that's definitely contributing to the atmosphere. I would suggest.
Lack
it's
of.
quiet, yeah. And it's going to continue to be quiet.
I'll be interested to see what the crowd is this weekend, because it's a home game. The first away game, the away game immediately before Christmas, which I think was against Hearts.
The home game.
The home game was a 12:45 kick-off, was abysmal. The weekend before that was a home game, and the crowd was very, very poor, and it was the first game after the Green Brigade, the banning orders and shutting of Section 111, and then the game on New Year's Day. There was mitigating circumstances against there being any form of decent crowd there, no travel, New Year's Day, people coming from all over wouldn't be able to make it. This January, it's a kind of bit of a horrible month. People might actually be looking forward to the game because people will be dieting and half drink and all that type of stuff, so they might be looking forward to be getting out of the house. I know it is. We've got 18 million calories worth of biscuits here.
As O'Brien said to me Saturday, he was out walking the Holy Kirlook on Saturday afternoon. He said to me, how boring is this without Celtic?
You need to spend time with Jackie walking around Kirlook. Is that what you said?
Okay, before we get to the Motherwell game, we had the small matter of the Antalya Cup in Turkey. So we went over to Turkey and played a first game against Trabzonspor. And we went with, the team was...
Does Wayama play with him?
As I've not got the team for the Trabzonspor name, I've got the team for the second game. But we'll talk about that game first.
Preparation meticulous as usual.
Subdued, no. That was the second game I seen, but I seen the highlights of that game. The goals are brilliant.
Pretty impressive,
What
actually.
a goal and
What was the crowd at 290 or something?
75 it was, they said. I don't think there was any general sale or anything like that, I don't think. It was a fair difference to the second game, but 75, and apparently they were all Celtic fans.
Paul Tim was there, wasn't he? I seen that on Twitter.
Did you catch it, Peter?
Like Kev, only seen the
I got bits and bobs
Great
out
goals.
online.
Two great goals.
I've
I haven't seen any of them. Pookie and
Baldy's
Pookie and
goal.
Baldy.
Baldy's goal was some goal.
He
They're
tried
busting
to
there,
repeat
didn't
it
they?
the next game and just put it on the bar.
See, that's interesting. I would like to see them get a wee run of games in SPL. But you just actually wonder the fact that... So Big Baldy did quite well against Liverpool in a pre-season friendly in Dublin. That was probably... He led the line well that day and he scored the goal. And then he's obviously played well in that game and Pookie's played well. You just wonder if there's a mentality thing of when they're playing in front of a large Celtic fan base, that they're actually... The pressure's actually kind of getting to them a wee bit.
fans groaning when they get the ball.
Kevin seen the full game the second game. I only seen the highlights of the second game. But Pookie could have scored with 3 goals.
He could have.
Aye.
Baldy gave a couple
At
as
least he's
well.
getting in the positions. I didn't see it because when he's been playing, what I've seen of him, he's no really been getting in the positions. So I'm delighted to hear that. I
It was
really do hope
encouraging.
it.
That was one of the plus points.
I was impressed with him, and it did look as if, and like you, Kevin, I think I don't think he'll do it now, but if we win the league early, if you like, I think he would.
When we win the league early, you mean?
I think he would give them maybe a run then.
Definitely.
Because they started to look back, but I think you might be right. I think it might be very much to do with the fact that it's the pressure's on, and it's certainly at Parkhead. I don't know if Parkhead's the best place for them to.
Who's Celtic's third top goal scorer this season?
Third top goal scorer.
Commons is 12, right? Next one close to him, by the way. It's only 5.
I take it you know it's still recording. So who is it?
Well, you go from, funny enough, you go from Commons to Mulgrew, then it's Stokes, so four goals.
Ledley scored a few.
He's not scored a few either, he's only scored 3.
Stokes had went 20 games.
Unbelievable.
So who's third, sorry?
2 goals in
I
20
missed it.
games.
Stokes with 4 goals.
4. And who's second?
Mulgrew.
I thought Mulgrew. I've started saying that instead of Mulgrew.
But I was looking at what it was you're Thomas about a stato, and he was quizzing me tonight, who's the top goal scorer in the English Premiership and who's the top goal scorer in the Scottish Premiership, and I goes, I don't know who to score. I said, Billy Mackay, who plays with Inverness.
He looks alright, by the way.
I would, if you were looking for a poacher, I would take a risk in the boy for St John's.
Apparently he's a zombie.
I would.
A real zombie.
Aye, I've heard that as well, aye.
Aye, Billy Mackay.
Aye, yes.
Aye, but yeah, he's for nothing. Plays with Northern Ireland. Sorry, but I thought you were meaning Stevie May's a zombie.
No.
So I'd take Stevie May.
I thought Billy Mackay actually was with Rangers and left Rangers to join St Mirren. Is that he was not there when he was like him? I thought he was there as a youth player.
I didn't care.
And then he died, and he decided not to join the new company.
Aye, so 3-1, and that was us into the final on Sunday. And I'll give you the team on Sunday because it was very interesting. It was Zaluska, Heron, O'Connell, Fraser, Fisher, Forrest, Bitton, Henderson, Boraktar, Pookie, and Baldy.
I like Beaton.
Against
He looked good on
Galatasaray,
Sunday.
and he did look good.
I like him.
He defends the
I've
ball
liked him
well,
from
and
the start.
he plays what I like, good passes.
Quite graceful, actually,
In
aye.
front of people so that they're moving onto the ball,
Aye.
not when they start moving, playing it behind them so they need to double back.
A stupid tackle with Champions League games, the only bad thing is that
See,
That was a rush of blood to the head, wasn't it? I think he got a bit excited.
See, pick up your point about Pookie not being out of positions and stuff like that. Do you think, which I've said before, and we've talked about this, there is a gang, you touched on it earlier on, there is a gang of 4 that plays with Celtic. You know, Common, Stokes, all this wee kind of tight.
Ledley
And I don't think Stokes passes to Pookie.
I don't think Stokes passes to anybody.
Honestly, you know, I've seen Pookie make runs and
Stokes just like reminds me of Scott McDonald, but he doesn't get caught offside as often. He is a moaning guy. See if I was a yard out.
Bon Gettle.
Nice.
Bon Gettle there.
It's unbelievable. The arms are up, but
He's Brian's love child.
Doesn't he like biscuits?
what's that all about?
You just ruined my tea.
You need
Doesn't take a
that.
lot of milk.
you talk about a guy gets a bit of slack. He gets a bit of slack because he's seen
for other
it.
reasons, aye.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, Peter, what are you trying to say? Get that balaclava.
I'll take his back to what I said earlier on. 4 goals he scored this season.
Aye.
4 goals.
He's played a lot of football.
He's not a good season. Aye. Far from it. Okay, so
But the best part of the final surely was the
Penalty.
Was the trophy, the flares, and the smoke bombs.
No, did you not see something at the bottom?
I seen one picture, and it was Chris Commons. I'm sure it was like a caption that was, "You can hardly see Chris Commons because of the smoke."
I felt certainly wasn't a friendly.
The ball
they celebrated.
Absolutely. They celebrated as if they'd won the league, by the way, honestly.
It was like the Champions League, they're still in the halfway line. They're all linking arms, and then when they scored the penalty,
They're all dancing about.
gone
See that big
crazy.
centre half, Memo or
Did you not see
something?
his trophy?
He was a dirty
The
bastard.
trophy collapsed.
No,
somebody hit it with the ball.
Somebody hit it with the ball in the warm up. Their goalkeeper, it was made the glass, it had a glass plinth on it, and I hit it, and it landed on the.
Brilliant. That's why we didn't win it.
It was a ball in tap.
Right.
And the ball just
Fell off.
They got presented to the trophy and it fell.
See the penalties as well. Beaton and Baldy's penalties were different class, by the way.
Baldy's
See,
was
I
outstanding.
don't think the chip was it Baldy.
Baldy.
The chip. Aye,
Beaton
that
could
was-
stink his as well.
The keeper clapped him.
That's right.
Have you seen it? The keeper stood
But you know
and
what?
clapped
See
him.
Forrest penalty.
It was the last
Wasn't
penalty.
it a bad penalty?
I disagree.
I thought it wasn't.
That's a perfect time for a keeper, Vinny.
It's either good to be low.
And it wasn't
nowhere
hit
in
me
the
any
middle.
sort of pace.
I thought it was a good save. Actually, I thought it was a good save.
I'm putting
Any
it
penalty
penalty.
save's a good save for him.
I did, it was a sellout. It was a 45,000 or 50,000 or something like that.
And to go for 75.
75,000.
To sell it it was Pyro.
I heard that it was just like a bit like the Polish fans at Wembley. It was just like at one point there was like 30 of them, like, and they were all holding them.
Well, Wee John was at the game, so we'll find out the stories for him.
Wee John who?
Sorry?
Oh, right. Aye.
But actually, the thing I wanted to just briefly talk about was how encouraging it was to see some of the players. Some of them, they put out, definitely in the second half, Galatasaray, they put out almost
Aye, Schneider.
a fuller strength team, if you like. Some of these young guys were outstanding. I thought, particularly Henderson looked absolutely brilliant.
He played against
just didn't look out of place at all.
How was Brichter?
The other Brichter was shocking.
Did you ever in the house?
I got an iPad.
And
funnily
Heron.
enough, aye.
A young guy,
Somebody
Heron, I don't know if you
tweeted
saw him.
Link that you could watch your iPad. Sorry, aye, he's...
Aye, Heron. He was excellent as well.
Aye, I like Henderson right enough.
didn't look at your pace, put yourself about.
I like that Fisher said to the Darrell. I like
It's one of the points that the boys have been making in the Homeboys podcast is that he doesn't need. Some people, would accept blooding some of these good young prospects we've got and risk this unbeaten run for the remainder of the Premier League. But the point they make, and we've said it a few times and we've been speaking about it, is when you make bring 5 or 6 young boys in, it causes too much of a change in the team. You need to bring them in
one at a time
to a maximum of 3. But bring them into a team that's got a degree of stability about it, and the players are playing most weeks, and that gives them an easier introduction as well, rather than saying, we're going to 5 changes, we're going to rest.
I mean, he's done that.
Everybody.
He's certainly done it with Fisher. He's brought Fisher in. And he looks excellent. He's a great player.
But they get me 10 or 15 minutes here and there. Do you know what I mean? It might be good to see some of these, because a player that I don't think is going to make it, and I've said a while ago that I didn't think he was going to make it, was Dylan McGeer, and he seems to.
I think he'll be away.
He seems, and people have said, he looks one of the best prospects I've seen in years and stuff, and I just don't know. It's one of these things that when players need to be playing games when they get to a certain point in their career. In my opinion,
but we've also talked about that. We seem to bring a player to a certain level, and then we don't seem to be able to bring him.
Look at the people in the squad that he's also trying to keep happy. Do you know what I mean? There's guys, Roderick's not kicked a ball. He's trying to get bit on a game. Do you know what I mean? So guys that he's bought. So it's very difficult. I agree with him. I would like to see him even every other game trying to blood 2. Just trying to bring him to give them at least an hour or something like that.
I guess from the manager's perspective and the players that then drop out, they'll be saying, well, I'm potentially a better player than them. I'm only dropped just because you want to try and bring them in. So it maybe causes a wee bit of disharmony in that respect. It's we've got an awfully big squad of players there. When you think that you've got Roderick there, if he's away on loan, if Dylan McGeer goes out on loan, if any of the rest of them that are periphery players go out on loan, you end up having 10 or 11 players potentially out on loan that you're still paying the majority of their wages. So you just look at that and think, I mean, I would maybe like to see a wee bit of squad rationalisation in terms of faces going out.
Quite a difficult one. Anyway, so just before we finish this section, Saturday we have Motherwell at home, currently 3rd on the table. They've still got a game in hand over Aberdeen. Won their last 5, scored 15, conceded 2. And their last defeat was a 5-0 humping from Celtic.
They've been playing quite well, Motherwell, actually, but I think it'll be a good game Saturday.
Looking forward to it, Kim?
I'm looking forward to it. First game I'll be going in a while. So I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of support they bring, because this is a game where they're on a good run, and it would be reasonable. I mean, do you know what I mean? They're Motherwell's 12 miles down the road from Celtic Park. And if there's going to be any game in the Premier League that's going to have a reasonable away support, you would envisage it being that. But for some reason, you'll end up getting 150 of them turning up. That just epitomises what's wrong with Scottish football. You've got a club 12 mile on the road who are doing really well. If they win their game in hand, they're going to be second in the league behind us. Yeah, they can't muster more than 3 busloads of people to make the journey.
Peter, are you looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Got a full bus?
Oh, not a full. We will. We'll have a reasonable bus on Saturday, I think. Yeah. Because it's a 3 o'clock kick-off, 1 o'clock.
Nice one. Okay, well, thanks for that, guys.
Tic Talk, Tic Talk, Tic Talk, 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 talk.
Remember, you can get in touch via Twitter, Facebook, our website and our email address, which is mail@carluckshamrock.com. Okay, a couple of bits of news. Filming on the Asterix Years documentary has begun, so look out for that in late spring, early summer. We've got a few other hot topics for the panel to chew over, and the first up is the transfer window, now open. Celtic made their first signing, which was Icelandic striker Humbert Fridtjonsson, 20-year-old target man, and he's signed up. And just this afternoon we signed Stefan Johansson. So what do we know about Stefan Johansson and Humbert Fridtjonsson, Brian?
Very little about the first one. The second one, aye. The second one, there's been quite a few tweets and links to some of his play, which I've not looked at. But the guy, TicTalk, has tweeted a bit about him and written a wee bit. So it sounds as if I've heard a couple of different versions of what type of player it is, but it sounds in the more creative midfielder, like maybe like Naka, or
is he a player that's going to feature in the first team?
Middle.
Is he a player that's going to feature in the first team come Saturday or come a week Saturday?
No,
I don't know.
Well, he said to himself today he wouldn't expect to play on Saturday, but he could play the following week.
Did he?
Yeah, I said that.
There you go.
I want to start to see players coming in that are going to make an impact in the starting 11 from the word go.
I think this might be
The word go doesn't necessarily need to be this Saturday. It can be the week after, but I don't want this. The week after
not
that,
a
he gets
row
10
then,
minutes. The week after that, he's comes on as a sub for the last 5 minutes. Let's sign players that can actually make an impact in the first team.
Of course, so he's just signed today. Kevin's written him off already.
I'm not writing him off.
Calls me grumpy.
Have some chocolate. Well, his description today was of a player, a high tempo, high energy player who's a good passer of the ball.
Whose description?
Eh?
Whose description of
There
him?
was various descriptions. One was Vida Reset, and he talked himself about the kind of player he is. I think he sounds more like somebody who could almost play where Wanyama was playing.
Wanyama, you nearly said
Wanyama. That kind of role, and potentially might be, as we said earlier, Ledley's replacement.
Wanyama,
I
isn't
think
he?
it's Ledley's replacement.
Creative.
I don't
Joe
think he
Edo's
is.
no that creative.
I don't think he is a.
He's a
not
left-sided
an
player. He's a
Nakamura.
left-sided
Don't
midfield
think.
player. That's what he said he was. He was a left-sided midfield.
Did you hear anything about it, Kevin? I don't think he was.
I think he's creative, but I think it'd be a bit far to compare with Nakamura. I don't think he's in that sort of mould.
What do you mean?
I think we'd be doing well to get him doing that mould, to be honest.
Just on that, actually, did you see Nakamura knocking the bride and groom off the top of the head?
Brilliant, different class, absolutely.
Have you seen this one?
Oh, I need to
It
go.
was Sky Sports News,
spoke
no?
about it last time.
No, that's not different. That was the
That was a
movie.
bus.
No, we spoke about that
Okay.
last podcast. I'm sure
I thought it was only out the last couple
Only
of
happened, aye.
I was speaking to somebody about it.
weeks. Unbelievable. Absolutely brilliant.
It made Sky Sports News.
So it did, aye.
How many goals did they have though?
We don't know that. I only showed you the one that hit it.
It was only asked to date one, so just.
But it was on live. It was on a live television programme. So I don't know how many.
It's just phenomenal, actually. I mean, that is skill. That is just
Unbelievable. One with the bus is great, especially.
Is that real? But
Aye.
Apparently, eh?
Apparently, it only took him 2 efforts to do it. He did it in his second effort.
Third. Showed you. Like, three
Showed you
goals.
the
It was
camera
for something
inside
that
the
was
bus.
like hundreds of thousands of yen, or whatever concerts that the woman was winning. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. I've not seen the wedding cake one.
is that how it works then? So if he does it, somebody wins money or something?
Well, it was that first one.
like
The
that,
first
I think
one was a game show,
Excellent.
and you know the Japanese are great. I mean, we used to watch one for years ago on Clive James. Showed you
Endurance.
endurance. Brilliant, man.
I don't know how they managed to
So this is a kind of updated version of that. So next week he's going to need to kick a cannonball.
A lot one. Kev's like that as if what we're talking about, we're moon men.
Clive James, that
Clive
used to
James,
be the only
Sunday
time
night.
you've seen a
Margarita See when you're only 25, Kev, you can just you need a sheltered life, mate.
That's what you're missing out on there. Yeah.
You were always guaranteed to see a breast in Clive James on a Sunday night, weren't you? Oh, marvellous. That was our porn. Look at it, kids. We seen a cat and it was our porn. Kids nowadays are on to blooming.
Anyway.
Back to the football one.
Anyway, sorry.
So can we say?
Have my porn hypers.
Can we say? If we say?
That's wrong funny. No. And Gregory's girl, it was about half a second short. Come on, the boobs.
I'm trying to wrest control back here. Right, okay.
That was the line.
Too much chocolate there.
Oh, I know, the windy cleaner. I know.
So, can we safely say that
But no, the disappointing thing about Gregory's girl, it wasn't Claire Grogan.
Right, okay, we'll move on. I think we can safely say that John Parks is spending a fair bit of time in Scandinavia, can't we, aye?
I would think so. I would think so.
But actually, there was a couple of guys that came on. There was an ex-Aberdeen player that came on talking about Johansson, and he talked well about him as well. I'm actually quite encouraged by him. I think he might be quite a good player. The Norwegian Player of the Year last year.
Hopefully.
So other transfer rumours: Man City and Arsenal are just about to swoop in with a £10 million bid for Van Dijk. Do we believe in that?
No.
I'm going to be surprised.
I'm prepared to believe it.
Well, I'd be surprised if we.
I hadn't even
I
heard
don't think
that.
he'll be here beyond the summer. I certainly don't think that.
You wonder if we can get him to stay, if he could get into the World Cup squad, the Dutch World Cup squad.
To be
I
honest,
don't know, might increase.
But that might make him. That might make him move next month.
I still
Not
think.
this month.
I think he
Is
can
there
walk into the Man U team. Absolutely.
At the
walk in.
moment,
I could walk in
And build. Man, you could build a defence around him for the next 10 years in the same way as they did with Ferdinand and Vidic.
Man United's shocking at the back.
he's got all the attributes, hasn't he? He's got pace, he's good in the ball, he's no bad in the air, he's strong, he's good in the tackle, he's got every attribute you want from a big centre half. And I'll just remind the listeners, they'll know this anyway, Kevin didn't like him when he first arrived, saying he was too fat.
It's too far.
That's unfair.
We'll go back and check the archives
Aye,
on that, Brad. I think you're probably
check that
right.
one.
Samaras, Aston Villa, Spain. Lennon was quite clear about coming out and saying he wanted him to kind of make up his mind, because I think that would maybe determine some of your business, and no wanting him to wait until the summer by the sounds of it.
Well, I think Lennon's trying to get a team together with one eye. He's not wanting to sign too many players in July because he's the qualifiers. I think he's wanting a team bedded in because we're going to the qualifiers in August. You know,
I agree.
Well, he's already made that clear, hasn't he? It's preparation now.
Our qualifiers again this year are going to be mid-July. Because of
That's what I'm
his
saying.
And his money field,
I thought
remember?
he said August.
Is that what's happening? Is that
Money
it?
fields.
Yeah, I think regardless, I think he's trying to get some certainly people in now to bed them in for that.
I think so.
I think,
And I hope they get a striker. Actually, I really hope.
Is there any talk of Big Forster?
No,
I've not heard anything.
I've not heard anything. Do you
Wouldn't
think?
be surprised
What have you
if...
heard?
No, nothing. I've not heard anything. I was just wondering. I know you boys read the newspapers.
No, don't need that.
I was just wondering because it wouldn't surprise me if one of the top clubs made a move for him.
Foster.
I think the only way he will be able to get into the England squad
If
for
it
the
was
World
down
Cup
there.
is if he leaves Celtic.
Aye.
Well, I was driving home last night, and they were talking about the certainties on TalkSport. Let's say TalkSport, no, you're driving on. And they were saying the certainties in the England squad, blah blah blah. We named them all, and there was 7 places up for grabs, and Fraser Foster was not one of the goalkeepers. Believe it or
Honestly?
not. Aye.
I was listening to 5 Live a couple of months ago.
It doesn't. It gets.
The Joe Hart and the guy for Norwich, see the guys conceding 7 goals,
Ruddy.
left, right, and centre.
He was at Motherwell.
Is that the same one?
And who was the third one?
No, don't have to. That's what I'm saying.
No,
It's 7
but
places
the
up.
third one-
the
they're
boy
talking
from
about
West Brom that's
Forster.
come back, Forster's just come back from a cruciate injury.
And Green. I have got mentioned. That's the guy that let the goal in through his legs.
Who's he playing with now?
So,
He's first division.
so Foster, you're right. Foster doesn't even doesn't even register on the radar, even though he played in one of the not the last international, but the one before that. And it's not.
Oh, I would like him to get in there because to progress his career, but you're just murdered him.
I can't see it. I don't think he's either going. I don't think a move is going to get him into it. Put it that way. I think he's got a good chance of going, whether he's at Celtic or not.
No, I disagree.
It puts him into
Entirely disagree.
puts some registers.
Do you think he
on
goes down there and goes to Everton or one of the kind of higher up teams in the top half, and he's an outstanding goalkeeper? I didn't think I would say this because I didn't fancy him at first.
Yeah.
Ever since he made that penalty save against Hearts, he's just been excellent. And I don't think goalkeepers are expected to come for cross balls. the same way as Walker Mayer, and it's probably the weakest part of his game. So I think he can get away with that.
Right.
He goes down there and has a few good games in the Premiership. Look at the number one goalie at Man City.
Dreadful.
Who's the mistakes he's made, and we've never seen any of that from Forster. So a couple of good games down there, and he'll be in the England squad. No
He's a better
problem at
goalkeeper.
all.
He's a better goalkeeper than Ruddy, and Ruddy was got capped when he was playing in the Championship. He's just absolutely out of their consciousness. They don't even. They don't believe there's a
Out of
league
sight, out of mind.
beyond England.
But I don't they've not got a dearth of goalkeepers.
But it
It's
doesn't
really
matter.
hard. If you
The
go
guys
through all
on
the
top
teams,
of
if you
it.
think all the teams down like
So wrong,
Premiership,
Vincent.
think about other
But the guys on
goalkeepers,
top
they
sport don't
care
pick the
about
squad.
But the manager
Or five
himself has
lives.
said he finds it difficult if Fraser Forster's only playing in a number of games a season where he's tested throughout the game.
The same scenario.
He's not getting tested.
10 years ago with Thompson, they never had a decent left-footed midfielder. And
Aye.
Thompson was brilliant. It was a Seville year.
And I think
He
the
still didn't
game he
get
did play, they played him a half, and I think he must have been out in the razzle the night before because
No,
he was
he was
woeful.
I don't even think that he needs to sign for one of the top teams. I think if he signs for a team, any mid-table team between, I don't know, 15th and 9th or 10th, and plays the way he did in the Barcelona games, which we know he's capable of doing, I think that would project him into the
I think he's got a good chance, and I think he's got a good chance whether he's at Celtic or
no
not.
chance.
But we shall see.
You're
We
wrong,
shall
Vincent.
see.
You're wrong.
We shall see, Kevin.
It's not the first time.
We shall see.
Time will tell.
But certainly the area that I think most of us are looking at is up front.
Yeah.
Talk of Fletcher, Finn Bogason again on the radar. What else have you heard?
Well, first of all, he's got to get rid of the deadwood that's there. Right, if Bo Bagheera's got
It's
to go.
twice
Name them.
refused that
But
one.
he's got to go.
Who?
Henrik
Bagheera.
Larson's taking him.
Bagheera, or whatever his name is.
Bangura.
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 He's got to go.
Henry Larson's taking him on loan apparently.
It's Henrik's fault.
But he's still, it's Kevin, he's got to stop paying his wages.
They're
You know
paying
what
a percentage in probably.
If he doesn't fancy Pookie, he doesn't fancy Baldy.
You can't.
They've got to go.
It's unfair to get rid
I'm
of
talking about a
Pookie and
manager.
Baldy.
I'm talking about a manager. If he
But
doesn't
you
fancy-
can't sign.
you can't
players
keep on
and
signing
expect them to
strikers
be-
for £2 million, Brian.
I'm not saying you can, but you need to give them a chance. I mean, I've not fancied Pookie myself, I have to say, but you need to give them a chance. We've not had neither of those two have had any chance in the
And
first
I don't
team.
think you can judge any striker when you play them in partnership with Anthony Stokes.
Aye.
That's a fair point.
I agree
I've
with you.
said that for a long time. Any clubs where Anthony Stokes been a raving success, he's typically been the only the single man up front. Teams hitting in the break. He's never, even at Celtic, him and Hooper just couldn't play together.
I thought he played.
He's,
no.
he's never had a
I
part.
disagree. I strongly disagree.
He's never had a
Kevin
part.
Hooper
They had a
was Stokes
partnership
together.
together. They were very good together, I felt.
No, they
I
weren't.
thought they were very good together. I
Nope.
disagree with you there.
And the
No,
first,
just
the first player that didn't play when Hooper
You're
was
wrong
fit was
again.
Anthony
I
Stokes.
think you're wrong again. Peter,
We've signed another striker as well, remember? This guy,
Aye, for Johnson.
Aye,
for Johnson.
another guy.
He's a project.
Well, I don't know. He's been training with Celtic for about a month.
Aye,
Was it
we
good
get
time?
introduced
did-
on the pitch before Christmas.
We've got a guy doing
Shot
Notts
was
County
happening.
who's scoring goals. We're talking about. I've never even heard of him.
Sorry.
The guy down at Notts County.
Oh, the
The guy who bought
midfielder.
the loan.
He's playing well. McGregor, was it?
McGregor, I think he's
Aye. Aye.
So there's him as well.
He's
Apparently,
not a striker, is he?
He's not a striker. No, he's a midfielder. But apparently, they put a bid in. They want to take him.
Aye, I heard
take
that.
him. And quite a lot of Celtic fans who have seen him have said actually that would be a mistake because
I was
he's
under
a
the
pretty
impression
good
he was a
player.
striker because he's the top goal scorer.
He's
Oh,
definitely a
plays
midfielder.
midfield. Aye, plays midfield. So sorry, Peter. Going back to Fletcher, Finn Bogason, any of them?
Fletcher, you've no
What's
chance.
your vote?
I'd love to see.
I'd love to
I
have
can't see
Fletcher,
it.
but you've absolutely no chance.
Would you love to have Fletcher? Eh?
6 years too
I
late.
would.
No.
I know what you're saying, but
Would you like him,
still,
Kev?
I would love to see him. Aye, 100%.
Aye.
He's not the poacher we're needing, but is he?
I don't know,
Scores
but
a lot
I
of
think
goals.
he's got a good
I don't know that he
record down
does.
there.
He scores goals.
He's
but
not
he scores a
been
lot
great
of
this season for them, but he's been
He's got a
out.
couple of
He's
injuries.
injured a lot.
I think Fletcher would be good in Europe. I think he'd be a good player in Europe.
He can play up front.
Does anybody know where his alliance lies? I've heard a couple of stories.
Fletcher?
Tell us.
just the usual
So
banter
zombie.
here.
He's a
King
zombie.
Billy used to have in his flat wall and all this nonsense. And then other people are telling me he's a mad Celtic fan. I just don't know what to believe.
I don't know.
I think
Know that would have an effect on. I think he's a great football player and I'd love to see him regardless of that, but it's just interesting to know.
Do you know, he's one of these players that could come and be on a wedge of cash, and he could be a Tony Cascarino.
That's what I'm saying. You've no chance of getting him anyway.
It's, as we've said before, any signing you make, regardless of whether he's a £1 million player, or Chris Commons at 300 grand, or a player at 4 million, is a risk.
Did anybody read the article on Quick News, I think it was, that said and stated very clearly from the horse's mouth, I think it was, so it was from our chief exec, that the money that was set aside that we were going to buy Fletcher with was used to buy land.
Aye, that was a cheek, I mean, that was a
Do you reckon?
it was a joke. It was after all the Glasgow City Council land, and
That's what it was a whole.
You need
What was that?
it was a satirical article.
I didn't think it was.
Aye, it was. Oh, you're beauty. I can't wait.
Is this recently?
Someone actually believed that was real.
Like 10 days ago, about a week ago.
Clear me up on this because the cleaner for me works a Celtic fan and he said they took his brother for Guernsey on a tour of the stadium I think it was just last week, he was staying at New Year, and he came into work the other day and told me that the guy that works here told him they'd found mineral ore or something like that. Is this anything to do with that story?
It's the same
Is it
story.
right?
Aye.
He's like to me, you need to go on and read this, it's on that media.
They bought the land for 400 grand weeks before they found some mineral that was going to make it worth 50 million to Celtic.
This guy Tommy, he's 60, he's actually fully believes this.
They decided they bought
Honest to God, he's starting there like,
they bought the land for 5 million rather, or 3 million rather than buying the player, because they thought they could make that money off selling more burgers and stuff. Because it was like, but they were going to put burger.
You honestly read that and thought it was real.
No, the thing is
It was
stuck.
an
dripping
intelligent
with
man.
satire.
Aye, you know the thing that stuck in my mind was at that point in time there was definitely a reason why we didn't buy Fletcher.
They wanted an extra
And in my
400
mind, I was
more.
thinking, well, is it believable that we use some of that money to do something else like buy land? Yes, it's believable. The rest, not quite as believable.
Moving on, Vincent. Moving on.
Well done, Vincent.
Okay, so Finn Bogason, is he off the radar now? Or is he on the radar, back on the radar?
I don't know. I
think he could pop back
Read.
up again, I don't know.
I tend to go with the social media.
If you're
I've not
if you're
seen a
asking
great
me,
deal about him.
I don't think we'll make another signing between now and then.
No, I don't know.
Striker.
And actually a creative midfielder, because I don't think this guy is the creative midfielder that we need.
See, it's a difficult one. I look at Baldy and Pookie, and if they played well as a partnership, I would like to see the two of them get a run for a good part of the remainder of the season and see if that's going to work. Bring for Johnson in. See if you sign another striker, you're never going to know if half the strikers or 3/4 of the strikers we've got just now in the queue are ever going to make it. But the risk is, if you do play them and they're not going to make it, then you're in the same position as we were last year. You get to the end of the season and you need to sign players quickly with no chance of them settling in for the Champions
But
League.
unless Fred Johnson is a poacher, I still think out of all these strikers we don't have a poacher, and I think it's the one kind of player that we still don't have, and it's what Hooper was. And I don't think any of our strikers, unless Fred Johnson could do that, is a sniffer. And that's what I think we need.
We don't know what he is yet, but don't think he's done anything.
A sniffer. I think we need a sniffer.
I think we're back at night.
What happened to Celtic taking a chance in Scottish-based players? They're signing all these players. Curtis and Johnson and give him 400 grand for Stevie May.
Yeah.
The guy, to me, he led the line well against us, and he's banging goals in left, right and centre for a team that don't score that many. And if you look at the types of goals he's scored, it's exactly those types of goals. In the 6-yard box, Andy Walker, we spoke about him earlier on, those types of sliding in at the back post, ball ricocheting off his arse, all that type of stuff.
That's what I think we don't
to us
have.
taking a chance on somebody like that than signing taking a chance on somebody from Iceland at 20 years age.
You need to trust the guys that are looking at these players. Neil Lennon and John Park, they're seeing these players
Brian,
playing against them.
But
And
they've signed a
they're
lot
not.
of players that aren't they making
No
it?
duds, but
No, I'm not.
See,
I'm
if
not
that's-
disputing that. I'm just saying you need to trust. If they see these players that aren't making it, and they see a guy at St Johnstone, but they're still picking the players that aren't making it, are you saying that they're doing it just despite because they don't want to sign that guy?
That's a stupid. I'm just saying, why don't they take a chance on them rather than taking a chance on the ones?
Because
I'm
maybe
not
they
saying
don't
that-
think
I'm
the
not-
guy's got it. Is what I'm saying.
That's
You
the
need to
point he's
trust
trying to
him.
make. He's actually saying, well, maybe they're thinking that they're not as good as the guys we've got. Even though these guys haven't made it yet, they're obviously judging both of them. Because, I mean, it's not as if they've no saw this guy, Stevie, mate.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? You can't miss him. He's did it the hard way as well. He went all the way back down and worked his way
I
back
always
up.
go back to, and he scored a lot of goals for us. Scott McDonald was a great player at Motherwell, and when he came, he did score quite a few goals, and it might be that's the type of player we need, but I don't think I've watched a more frustrating player. Maybe Stokes, right enough.
Who, McDonald?
Aye.
But yeah, he did
10
well for
times,
us.
10,
Did well for us.
between 10 and 15 times a game, it must have got caught
I know,
offside.
but he did score
He did score a
scored
good
a barrel load
But
of
then
goals.
you
Scored a lot of
don't fancy
goals.
Cookie. Baldy's not shown anything. We've got.
No, I
we've
didn't.
signed. You said you don't have fancy Pookie.
Aye, but I didn't say Baldy's not showing
Well,
anything.
no,
Don't say that in the same sentence.
So okay, you said you don't fancy Pookie, full stop. We also hear lots of supporters talking about the fact that
Aye,
Bobo's
Baldy.
not. Baldy's not.
Aye,
showing
Baldy
much.
does
And
show.
then we've got for Johnson. Where's it going to end?
See, talking about the creative player.
I would rather they paid 400 grand for Stevie May to
you've
come in,
said that.
and if he doesn't play well, then all it is 400 grand we've lost.
Aye, and you've said that, andVe said, well, maybe they don't fancy him.
Okay, Kevin.
Sign him.
I would break your bank for, said it before, Ryan Gold for Dundee United. I think he's outstanding.
He's not a striker, is
I
he?
know,
really?
no,
Not a
Vinny,
striker.
Vince is
Aye.
talking about the
See the
creative.
creative, aye.
I think it's
See
him.
what I've saw of him, and it's very limited what I have saw him. The first time I saw him, he was playing. Remember the passes you mentioned earlier on, Kev, where he play passes into space,
Aye.
and you've got the vision to do that, and you're not playing the sidey ball or back the way. He did that 3 times, and it reminded me. The last player I remember was as good as that doing that was Paul McStay. He played some great balls,
Aye.
and the goals they scored, I think they won about 4-0 that day. But he played 3 balls like that, all into space, well in front of folk, but perfect weight, perfect, diagonal.
Aye.
It was fantastic. And I agree with you, actually. I think he might be a guy that's got it. But
What about Atachic?
I thought he was good when he came on,
He's looked alright as
against
well.
Motherwell.
Good finish against Motherwell, aye.
Is he an out-and-out striker?
I've not saw him, to be honest.
is it twin still with?
I thought it was a crack.
Dammer Sugar, were we?
One of them is.
That was
Towards it.
towards
Barzik, one of them is.
One of them is.
I think one of them went away, Phil or something. One's still here, one's away, Peter. The other one that was in the news was the new Trezeguet, Mahmoud Hassan, Egyptian attacking midfielder, 19 years old. That was the other one. That was in. He's begged to leave his team because
It's another
he's desperate.
19-year-old, you know.
He's desperate to come to Celtic.
To be honest, that's starting to depress me. Just this whole signing
Podcast.
19 and 20-year-old players that
But you-
are going to be nowhere near the first team, it would seem.
I look
So
at
that they can-
Beaton and I think Beaton looks really good. And what age is he?
22 he is.
Is he?
Is he?
22,
He's
aye.
older.
Aye, he's 22.
I think he looks a cracker.
And then you look at some of these, so these players are coming in, so what does that say? 19-year-old is possibly, the likelihood is he's not going to go into the first team straight away, so what does that tell us about the crop of players, the younger players that we've got that are trying to break through just now? Does that tell us they're no good enough? We've already spoken about the friendly they played, where these are all saying that they played really well,
There was some good
but
performance.
they're not even getting a chance themselves, so it just...
I think we should go to St Johnson and get that. What's that boy?
Can't remember his name.
He looks a player.
Sing Billy for Inverness.
Okay, so we're slightly
again back.
we're slightly divided then on whether there'll be more transfers, but I'm certainly hopeful. Quick round the table. Do you hope we sign more, or do you think we're finished?
I think we're finished. Well, in saying that, they maybe
He's finished.
sign a couple of wee kind of 19-year-olds, but I don't think there'll be any major
Any
signing.
major sign, Kevin?
I think we will. I don't know what position it'll be for, but if we could only sign one player, it would be Ryan Gold for me.
Ryan Gold, that is. Right.
I think we may get a striker in, and I think it does depend on who goes out. Will determine who we, if we do sign any more. So, for instance, if Sammy leaves, I think we'll sign someone.
Kevin, Stevie May.
I don't care.
What kind of attitude's that? I thought you were a supporter.
I don't care.
He doesn't care.
And actually, the more
I'll tell you a
these,
guy I'd like them with.
the more Peter, hold on a second. See, the more these players they sign, these 19 and 20-year-old players that don't break in, that's a contributing factor to the crowds we're getting at Celtic Park.
Yeah. I wouldn't
So
disagree with that.
it's the whole thing.
Who's
is
your boy's hero?
A house of cards potentially.
Hero. When I take a 7-year-old there, he's not got a hero at park.
You know.
You know what I mean, Kevin?
I don't know.
You know, you would say.
He's not got a
You know what I mean?
Naka, a Libo, a
I
Larson.
mean, it used to be Gary Hooper. You know what I mean? But Gary Hooper's away. You know, I'll say, Thomas, who's your favourite player? Chris Commons, I'll say. You know what I mean?
Chris Commons.
He's a good player. He's hero material.
But you know, it's like when we were growing. You know what I'm trying to say.
Actually,
you
talked
had
about
8 to choose for.
Exactly. You could go round the table and every one of us would have a different one.
And the same team.
Aye, and it could all be justified as you could understand why it was that. Whereas now you're saying, Chris Commons, and then who after Chris Commons?
And I can't remember if I've said this in the past. I think when Sevco come up to the top division a couple of seasons, they're not going to be able to sign players on big money. But I think they'll end up signing the best of the Scottish young talent. Who at Dundee United, the boy Armstrong, he might be getting paid £2,000 a week with Dundee United if he's lucky. He might be able to double his money to £4,000 or £5,000, and they're getting a good player. And I think they could build a team of reasonably good Scottish players that would be ready to compete with us very, very quickly. If we continue on this route and things don't quite work out the way that obviously everyone hopes they do.
I know what you're saying, but they are, and I would agree with that. But it's going to be the third Rangers, aren't they? Because
that's a fair one. Okay, so actually, and from my point of view, I hope we come out a wee bit stronger. And I think you're right. I think we need a box office, and I'm hoping we get a striker, a good striker that will excite
I'm not
us.
going to sign a box.
I don't mean
we're in this week.
I just mean a goal scorer that will excite us, and that's what I'm hoping for. Okay.
No.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock.
Shambolic.
Okay, thanks Chico for Shambolic tonight. I threw out to the panel the following. What has been the most favourite ground you have visited to watch the hoops? A one-off visit for a memorable game, or a ground you look forward to visiting every season? Who's first up?
Ground, if you go, I'll go, because there's a couple of different ways of looking at this. For ground, the actual architecture of the stadium and how the stadium looked, there's been a few candidates. So one would be the Amsterdam Arena, which was a stunning stadium. Kevin won't remember much about it.
I can't remember that stadium. How many months ago was that? 2 months ago?
The other one, which was stunning, brand new stadium, was I don't even know what it's called, but Juve's.
Oh, is it a new stadium? Aye.
Crack stadium,
Aye.
really impressive stadium, and so those two. I was also in Stade de France as well, and that's a very impressive stadium. But in terms of atmosphere, so you could then look at it for atmosphere of away grounds. The best away support I've heard was Basel when we played them.
Is it Basel or is it Basel?
Basel, because it's German speaking.
Okay, yeah.
But the French speaking call it Basel.
It's not what Gordon Smith called it.
We call it brush.
But anyway,
Good reason to Basel.
so the actual atmosphere
So why
in
was
that stadium,
Why was that?
just the whole game. Their equivalent of ultras, but it was the full end.
Right.
So if you, I can't remember the stadium being that great a stadium, but the atmosphere, full end noise, the whole game. and very impressive, I thought, and probably because I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
You know, you're in blooming Switzerland and
Aye.
you know, you're kind of quiet people.
Folks and stuff.
Aye.
Very neutral.
Very neutral.
Side of you.
Aye. So I was.
As with the
Sound
escape
of
to
music.
Vincent.
Is that the worst?
Switzerland's where they escaped to. Over the border, over the Alps.
Okay.
Don't question me about sound of music, pal.
So when you're dressed, didn't you wear the lederhosen? So away grounds for that. In terms of grounds visiting every season, the grounds in Scotland that have a good atmosphere, well, one, and whether you like it or not, Tynecastle's always, and the past couple of years it's been particularly sweet there because we absolutely hammered them. 4 or 5 times, hammered them. There was obviously the 7-0 game, but there was 4-1, 4-0, 5-1, or 5-0. Aye. So there's been some great results there, and but there is where fans close to the ground, so that's always one. If I go back to years ago,
just going to see all your ground.
aye, speaking. If I go back to years ago, the best away trip was always Aberdeen.
I don't remember that being the question, but anyway.
The best away. Well, it was the stadium.
Okay. Was it because of the stadium?
And, aye, but
That's
the
fine,
beach
yeah.
end.
Hey, can you shut up now?
No,
The beach end was fantastic. There were concrete benches in it. Anyway, that's me. That's my few
That's your
stadiums.
18
Well
done, right,
done.
okay. Are we all getting 18?
Peter?
Well, obviously, the one I'm going to say,
That's not
Kevin went there the year after, but the first year we weren't there, we played Benfica. We went we won the European Cup. What's it called? The Stade, whatever it's called.
I can't remember.
Stadium of Light.
And Gordon's tracking the team out training in the park. I think I've told the story.
Benfica's.
And
Stadium, yeah.
and then invited all the fans in to round about the park, and we were all standing there. Next thing, Billy McNeil and whoever's left there, Elizabeth Lyons came out with the European Cup out of the tunnel, and in the middle of the park, and we were getting a footage team where they were presented with a trophy, the kid on European Cup now. So that's a personal bet.
Excuse me, it wasn't a kid on, it was the
a
replica
replica.
of the one we won.
No, I'm talking about. Well, do you think they gave us the trophy? We all got a footage team. No, we just blew up one. But
That sounds brilliant.
as regards
That sounds brilliant.
being a Celtic fan, brought up to about the European Cup final, that's where, to me, that was a great day.
Very special.
Great day. I also like Benfica Stadium. I thought it was a terrific stadium. I really
That
did.
is.
I thought it was a terrific
I've
stadium.
never done that.
We also went to Sporting Lisbon's ground that day as well.
Aye.
That's a great stadium. Went in there. We've done a wee kind of tour
Did
of
you
that.
just do a stadium tour when
I
you
never
were
went to the
I
game.
really like what he said.
there? Stadium tour.
I agree with Brian. I used to love going to Aberdeen.
beach,
Loved going to Aberdeen because just for the day out. You used to leave it early in the morning up there, Lawrencekirk. You know, forget days like that. And then going to the game. The game was immaterial, to be perfectly honest. Back to Lawrencekirk and.
I remember going over the sand
Great.
dunes because Celtic used to have the beach end and you couldn't, and there was all the casuals at that time, and it was running battles going over the dunes, and boys were planting. It was like Dunkirk or something like that. Boys were planting tricolours in the top of the dunes and stuff like that, as if they've claimed this land. You know what I mean?
This is
Enemy
ours.
soil, both.
This is ours.
And the thing I always remember, we used to go up my grand in the Carfin bus,
Aye.
and
Stop at Perth, Dundee.
12 or 13. And you went up and you went into the beach end. I remember going the first time when I was 17 and had a few beers, and you go into the beach end and it was, as Brian said, it was benches, and you would be sitting there. But before you knew it, when the game kicked off, there'd be about 8 folk in a space for 2. You know what I mean? They're sitting on top of one another and stuff like that. You thought, my God, Celtic must be sold about 30,000 tickets for this, and they forgot to lock the gates downstairs, and you thought the crowd was going to be 12,000 in the end, only gold 3,000. And then you watched it in Scott Sport the next day at 5 o'clock, and you're looking at the game and you're this isn't the game I was at, because you can just remember folks sitting in your knee and it being busy, and like when you seen it in the telly, the bottom half of the stand was empty. And that was the reason why, because everybody was sitting, everybody had walked in and just sat at the top.
So the end held 4,000, but
We were all sitting.
all 4,000 sat in a wee space for 1,000.
Aye, and with the rest of it empty, all the wings were empty, you know.
Because it was freezing. It was always freezing.
Man.
We just huddled together.
Another brilliant favourite was Tannadice, the old Tannadice.
Right,
It was the steep base steps.
Yeah, the steep thing. Great atmosphere up. We always had a great result up there. We seem to always play well at Tannadice.
You remember the 4-3 game, first game of the season? John Collins.
One of my favourite games there was when it was redeveloped. Was when Henry Larsson scored. It was first game of the season, and I think Chris Sutton
Martin
scored.
Hill's first game, first league game.
We were sitting in that George Fox stand right at the front row. You know, and we're right in line where he scored. I think Larsson just cut inside.
Left foot, it was a
And he
nice
sort
shot
of,
in
he
the
kind
corner.
of covered it, you know, and he turned towards the support. But Dundee United,
And there was helicopter Thursday up there and all, was it not?
I think the good thing about the
One
stadium...
week up there. Big van. Vinegar.
it's all, see when it had the stadium, see when it had the...
These steps, and that's terracing. That was
That's what
scary.
Legion dislocated his shoulder up there.
Did he?
Aye, that's where he dislocated his shoulder. And he get carried round the park. And that night, it was snowing. No, it was snowing. They were flinging snowballs.
That was a killer.
Big Algie. He's going round the park with Big Algie and Archie. And I was just going, "What's out there, fine? What's out there?"
He's not exactly a target you can miss.
That was just a killer.
I take it to see, that's probably how we demolished the stadium. Once it fell, broke it. Done a bit of damage. See, just when you're talking about that, do you remember the Tynecastle game where they put foam cushions in the open end? It's just after they had that.
Made the crucifix.
Aye, they were making crosses, going up the Celtic fans, tearing them in half and making crosses. And,
That would probably be illegal, that'd be offensive behaviour at football if it was these days.
definitely.
I've got to say, just when you talk about Tannadice, because the other one that, so Pittodrie, the beach end was brilliant, Tannadice, you're right, but also Firth Park, I used to like going out to Firth Park.
Cage.
But that's why, in those days, I think going to away grounds like that, where you got half of their stand and there was a cage in between, because you used to always stand, and you were standing for, you know what I mean, no more than 6 feet, 7 feet away, albeit there was a cage. There was a cage between yous and there was lines of police at that point. You never had stewards, and you used to, there was always good banter, do you know what I mean, in those days. So Firth Park was the same, you used to go to Love Street, it was the same, you went to Dundee United, it was the same. All these stadiums, Falkirk as well, where you used to go. I mean, Firth Park was great because you were always just down the road for years, so you would see all that wannabe zombies with the bus fare and just giving dogs abuse. It was absolutely brilliant.
Peter ran with them, as we discovered in the previous podcast.
I was just going to bring that. I was just going to
You and
say,
Jason
when you
Higgins.
told me
Jason
Firth-
Higgins running the game, it was CSC.
See at Firth Park, I can go back as far as Firth Park when you had the cage in the middle, but Mull only had.
Aye, we were the other
a
side.
second. But Mull were hemmed. The Mull fans were hemmed in.
And
Both
aye,
sides
in the
in with the
middle.
Celtic fans in
I
that
can remember
area.
that as well.
You know what I mean? And
They had to walk
as
out
Kevin
the
said,
back
you had
again.
a rule,
Aye.
you know.
I've got fond memories of Old Hampden, particularly like a couple of cup finals as well.
Hampden and Son.
Aye,
Dundee United,
aye.
Aberdeen.
You'll not remember that.
No, that was for my time, I'm afraid.
Kevin, what's yours?
I've got a couple of stadiums without the risk of sounding too original. That my most fascinating stadium I've been in, we've all been in it, I think, is the New Camp. Been a few times and I just love it. I love everything about it, love the city.
Although, funny enough, a couple of folk have said to me I've never been there for a game, I've been to it, but where we usually end up, it's not the best. You know?
No, it's don't get me wrong, I don't enjoy it, but as a stadium, I think it's
Do you remember
brilliant.
the computer game Sensible Soccer?
Aye,
Where the wee guys were tiny.
Aye.
And the Sensible Soccer, and that's what it's like. It's tiny, it's just like subdued looking. You're so far away.
I remember I hated it, it was absolutely Baltic.
Well, I was lucky enough to take Declan there last April for a Barca game, and we were sitting on the kind of first tier behind the goals, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was an entirely different place
I
being
would
there.
like to sit down.
It was good. If I'd went to the game this season, I was going to take tickets for the Celtic end. I was going to take the tickets for the Barcelona end, because as well, if the weather's inclement, we were in the bit where there was the overhang for the second tier. So had it been pouring down the rain, then we would still be sheltered. Whereas when you're up there, there's only a very small roof over a small section of one stand, and then the rest is all open.
It's obviously very impressive with the size.
Aye.
But I don't think there's an atmosphere in it.
I don't know. I've never been
It's
to a game.
not,
man.
see, during the game, the sound just disappears in the...
But it's not your favourite. It's Kevin. Right, Kevin.
Aye.
Next one.
In fact, just on the new camp, maybe went about 9 years ago, and you missed the goal.
Aye,
for
John
hot dogs.
Harrison.
You missed it.
It was beer.
You got hot dogs, you know, then. You come back with 2 hot dogs, man.
I drank
It
the
was
beer.
travel. It was me, Kevin, Gary Sibley.
Aye.
Who else was it?
Joseph. Tell that story.
Joseph.
Yeah.
There
You've
was
told that
Joseph.
story on here before.
Aye.
But goals that you've missed, I'm sure
Aye.
it's called.
We all go to Barcelona.
So I
John
said, I've seen
Harrison's.
that guy in my life.
Aye.
I must have
Gary,
been
aye.
I
That was his best man last year.
at bar with him because I missed a goal. It was me, McGraw and Stephen.
Aye.
Yeah, it must have been.
For
been a
a
slow
one-off visit, for a one-off game, was Anfield for me in 2003. Everything about that was just... It's the only time I've been in Anfield. Everything about it was just
That's a good
absolutely
time to go.
fantastic. I can just remember how happy I was feeling after the game. And just and just the usual suspects. I enjoy, but I had a few good trips to Tynecastle. One recently with Kevin.
Well, he's didn't get home on Sunday.
Well, technically, aye, but it's another story.
Kevin didn't wake up to Monday.
You're a bad influence.
And fuck Bart, it was good, I think.
Aye, we're part of one of yours as well.
Aye.
Nice one, Kev.
Stuttgart,
Up.
the Daimler Stadium. I think probably just because it was a fantastic European trip. It'd been a great day. Stadium was actually very, very nice. And Celtic had a massive support. Obviously, it was a UEFA Cup at the time.
Yeah.
It was the season we got to the final, but it obviously wasn't a competition that the Germans were that interested in. So Celtic had what seemed to be half the stadium. From where we were sitting, we were in amongst the Stuttgart fans in the main stand, but they had an easy 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 in the stadium, which kind of now you wouldn't imagine would happen very often in Champions League games. You're going
Because it
against
wasn't a
2,000
massive
tickets.
stadium, wasn't it?
No, it was only I think about 42,000.
They've got a new
or something
stadium
like
now. They've moved.
Did that, have they?
Did they move
I don't know
away?
if
No,
they've
that
moved.
was- that was
I don't know
the
if they've
stadium.
moved. No, it wasn't it?
No,
no,
it
Daimler
wasn't.
Stadium?
no, they did. They dismantled
was,
that stadium.
aye.
Did they, aye?
Aye, for the Europe. I think the World
That
Cup.
was quite an old stadium. We were just in the good bit.
And it was just a
Because
fantastic
it was
trip.
standing. I think that-
Aye.
Aye, it was,
standing.
aye, that's right.
German
But-
football, but looks absolutely fantastic.
Aye, that's the atmosphere. See the fans that night. The Stuttgart fans
Phenomenal.
couldn't have been better.
Oh, they were
Outstanding.
brilliant.
We were among them. We jumped up when Celtic scored. Obviously, we got 2 early goals, which were
killed
and
it, aye.
but they couldn't have been friendlier, couldn't they? Not
Yeah, smashed.
sharing their drink
Aye, great.
half time. Absolutely brilliant. Fans,
Aye,
great
just-
fans,
it
best
was
fans.
great.
ever.
I'll tell you what was good about that stadium was I spoke to you
Mind the
before
wee
about
bar?
this. Aye, but you opened as you went through the turnstile. It was still be here to the cross to get to the stadium.
For the listeners,
I know that
we're about 200 yards away.
I know the bars were in this area.
Right,
As you go through the turnstile, so you could start and have a beer
Aye.
before you went in. It was
To
brilliant.
be fair, the best whole thing about it was the fact that they did mini donuts. I went down just before half time and come up with about 40 mini donuts. We're sending them out to all the Germans round about and stuff.
Many donuts, fresh one.
Any more for you, Kev?
Nah.
Yeah, you quite happy, quite happy with
No,
Stuttgart.
I Stuttgart and I enjoyed Tanners Ice, enjoyed Fair Park. And to be honest, you reminisce and you don't know if you're just being an old romantic fool when you look back. And I don't think Declan will get the enjoyment for going to away games that I've had in the past.
Well, I don't know. I think the atmosphere at away games is still very good in the main.
Aye.
In the main, it's still good. It's not. It's different
perspective
teams
on it,
now,
But
but
there's nothing. There wasn't anything better than standing at the cage. You had your scarf in each wrist, and you were standing.
That was just you. Scarf in each wrist.
Scarf on, put it on. You know what I mean? It was brilliant.
Rooney's ankles.
That was absolutely
Green trousers.
Face painter.
You just can't beat it.
I think
You just couldn't beat the.
I think it's quite interesting. Nobody's mentioned Ibrox.
There you go. Do you know, I didn't even
That
occur
didn't
to
cross
me.
my mind.
No, I mean,
I do
and nobody's
vividly.
mentioned any English stadiums apart from Kev saying about Anfield that night.
Ewood Park was good, by the way. That was another one.
Ewood Park was amazing.
Shit, old stadium.
It was a shambles, but because remember that
Old Trafford,
Cameron-
nobody's mentioned. We've been to Old Trafford on team.
I've been to Old
I
Trafford.
was lucky enough to go to the Emirates, but you guys were at the Emirates. You know what I mean? That was another big
I
stadium.
didn't
Crack
we went to
stadium.
Milan. I enjoyed Milan actually.
Milan,
Stadium,
San
Milan,
Siro,
that's
you know,
shit
I liked
stadium.
No, I liked the San Siro.
I think the two were all waiting on it. I'd love to go to Real Madrid. I'd love to go to Real Madrid.
I'd choose to get them,
Bayern
man.
Munich.
We did the.
I'd love to go
That's
to
a
a new
2-1.
stadium.
I'd love to go to any of the German ones, to
Madrid
be
and who?
honest.
Bayern Munich.
Aye.
I've been to Bayern Munich, but it was
Dortmund,
before
I'd
the
like
new
to go to
stadium.
Dortmund.
Aye, that's another one, Kevin. I'd like to go there. as
So
well.
when we had our sales kick-off, and it was in Madrid last year, and we did the tour of the Bernabeu, and it's a nice stadium, but to be honest, it's a bit like Barcelona,
It's just
and a wee bit soulless within the stadium.
Right.
It's very, very steep as well, and I don't know. I don't want Celtic to draw in for some reason.
I'd quite like to play them there.
I don't like them as a club and all
I
that.
don't like
think.
them either, but I'd quite like
I
to
like
play
Barcelona. I think that's why I enjoy
Their stadium.
It's a
I
great
know what you're
city,
saying
Madrid.
about being soulless, but I can make myself.
No,
like
but
it
I
because
think
like
I
Barcelona.
don't think you'd say that about Barcelona, because Barcelona isn't. It's everything that Barcelona stand for that
Aye,
makes
I
it
know,
part
aye.
of. Gives them soul.
We've been in that Champions League probably, 10 times? Something like that? Easy.
I don't know if it's
We've never had Real Madrid.
Oh, I
Never
know,
had Bayern
I know.
Munich. Never had.
It's the one.
Well, we've had Bayern Munich.
So we did a Bayern Munich.
Magnus Hedman.
Okay,
That Allianz Arena looks.
That wasn't built in. It was the old Olympic Stadium with a
I mean,
track
the
round it.
fact that with the Dortmund fans in the run up to the European Cup final, it obviously it lights up, so it must have lights inside and go in such a way that exactly that, like the hydro makes it glow, and they broke into it and changed the bulbs to yellow bulbs and then turned it on. You've seen it on YouTube. So it sits on there, so it seems to be flat, and then the stadium rises, so everywhere round about it seems to be quite low level, and the stadium's all of a sudden it's red, and then they just hear a boy saying "now," and it turns yellow. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's the
I
ultra.
don't think
the
it
ultra
changed the
grips.
bulbs.
What did they do?
Thousands of bulbs. They're there for a year.
So,
Screwing it. Oh shit, we've got the wrong size. We need to get back to IKEA.
40 watt. I tell you 40 watt.
it was fantastic when he did it.
Maybe hacked into the IT system or something. but
I never spoke about
changed
Tony
the
Watt in
bulbs.
this place.
Tony Watt. I don't think he's coming back.
Oh dear.
What's the
We missed
script?
him out.
He's back in Belgium. Sent him
Is he?
back. I sent him back and said,
Get your act
get
together.
it out together, come back in the summer. Okay, guys, we're just conscious of time, so I think we'll wrap it up there. And on that note, I'm Vincent at Vincenzo Sir on Twitter, and tonight our panel have been
Peter.
Kevin.
Brian.
And Kevin.
Hail.
Yeah, well.
The thing I want to see the most is the Glasgow Celtic score. I've been to Munich, been to Paris and Berlin. I watched injustice fall upon you in Turin, and I've shared the pain and glory with the friends that I have made as I dance from place to place in green and white on a worldwide tin parade.